Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Cognito Key. Have you ever looked at a beautiful plant and wondered how it's possible to save it from a virus that has no cure? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But the answer is very, very real and incredibly tiny. So, what's the secret? How can you possibly take a plant that's already sick and create a perfectly healthy, identical copy of it? Well, the method is one of the most clever tricks in all of botany, and it all comes down to finding a secret, protected little zone inside the plant itself. That's right. The solution has been hiding in plain sight this whole time, at the very growing tip of every single shoot and root. It's a special area that acts like a tiny biological fortress, keeping all those nasty viruses and pathogens from getting in. Now, this little zone is the hero of our story today. It's called the meristem, and figuring out its unique properties was a massive breakthrough for agriculture and conservation. So, what exactly is this tiny powerhouse? The meristem is basically the plant's engine room for growth. You can think of it as a little dome-shaped command center that's just jam-packed with cells that are constantly dividing. And when I say tiny, I mean it. We're talking a fraction of a millimeter. But this little spot holds the key to creating a whole new, healthy plant. The road to this discovery was actually a pretty cool piece of scientific detective work. It all started back in 1949 when two scientists, Limaset and Cornute, noticed something odd. The closer they looked to the tip of a plant, the fewer viruses they found. A few years later, Morel and Martin built on that idea and developed the technique we use today. And by 1965, it was already being used to grow these beautiful, perfect, disease-free orchids. So armed with all this knowledge, scientists developed a really powerful method. It's called Meristem Culture, and it's all about harnessing the unique, virus-free power of this tiny tip. To put it simply, Meristem Culture is a super specialized form of cloning. By carefully taking just the apical meristem, that's the one right at the very, very top, scientists can grow a complete, genetically identical plant that is totally free of any viruses that might have infected its parent. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so let's go inside the lab and see how this actually works. It's a really meticulous process that takes a tiny piece of a plant and turns it into a brand new one, all inside a little test tube. But before we get into the steps, here's a look at the essential toolkit. First, you need the shoot tip itself. Then, you need something to clean it, like sodium hypochlorite, a super sharp sterilized scalpel, a special nutrient gel called MS Medium, which is like a vitamin-packed jelly for the plant cells, and an incubator to keep everything at the perfect temperature. All right, the whole journey from a tiny tip to a full plant happens in 5 key stages. First, you isolate and sterilize a shoot tip. Then comes the really tricky part. You have to dissect the meristem under a microscope. This tiny dome is then placed in that nutrient gel and popped into an incubator with the perfect amount of light and warmth. After it grows into a little plantlet, it's finally moved to a greenhouse to get used to the real world. But what happens after the lab? You know, this isn't just a cool science experiment. This technique has a huge impact on our world, from the food on our plates to the conservation of really rare species. The real-world uses are just staggering. For farmers, it means they can get a guaranteed supply of virus-free crops. For conservationists, it's a total lifeline to preserve the genetics of endangered plants. It even helps us create new plant hybrids and safely move plants between countries without worrying about spreading diseases. And you can mass-produce identical clones. And there have been some huge success stories. For example, this exact technique was used to completely get rid of the devastating tobacco mosaic virus in petunias and the cauliflower mosaic virus from plants like cabbage and cauliflower. It literally saved entire crops from being wiped out. Of course, like any advanced science, it's not always easy. It's really important to look at both the amazing advantages and the very real challenges that scientists run into when they're doing meristem culture. So, on the one hand, the wins are obvious. You get perfectly healthy plants, and it's a fantastic tool for conservation. The high amount of a growth hormone called auxin in the meristem really helps kickstart everything. But the challenges are also very real. Trying to isolate a piece of tissue that's smaller than a pinhead is incredibly difficult, and you need technicians with super steady hands. Plus, the whole process of growing a new plant can be pretty slow.
But even with those challenges, there is absolutely no doubt that meristem culture is a vital tool. It's helping us create stronger, healthier plants, which, let's be honest, is more important than ever for the future of our food supply and for preserving the planet's biodiversity.
And that leaves us with really interesting thought to ponder. As our world faces all these new challenges like climate change and food security, just how critical will technologies like meristem culture become? How will they continue to shape the future of the plants that we all rely on every single day? And that's our explainer on the incredible world of meristem culture. If you found this as fascinating as I did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Cognito Key for more deep dives, and share this video with someone who loves plants. Thank you so much for joining us.